Urban legends that turned out to be real. Some urban legends are designed to scare children. Others are meant to keep people away from dangerous places. But a few were never legends at all. They were warnings, disguised as fiction. Urban legends often begin as whispers, stories shared quietly, between friends, between generations. They are dismissed by authorities, laughed off by outsiders. Most of them disappear over time. But sometimes, years later, evidence surfaces. Documents are uncovered, witnesses come forward, and suddenly the story changes. Tonight we explore several urban legends that turned out to be disturbingly real. For decades, drivers across rural highways in the American Midwest reported the same strange encounter. These reports began to surface in the late part of the 20th century, long before dash cams or smartphones were common. The encounters almost always happened late at night, on long, empty stretches of road. Far from towns or rest stops, a silent figure would appear at the roadside. No clear features, no visible destination. The figure would ask for a ride. Minutes after entering the vehicle, the passenger would be gone. No sound, no movement, no explanation. The story spread from state to state. It became one of the most well-known urban legends in the region. Authorities dismissed the reports. They blamed imagination, fatigue, long hours behind the wheel. But years later, something unexpected emerged. Traffic cameras installed along rural highways began capturing unusual behavior. Vehicles slowing down, pulling over, doors opening and closing on empty roads. No person visible, no one entering, no one leaving. The footage matched the stories. The drivers hadn't imagined it. Something had been there. Every Halloween, parents across suburban neighborhoods in the United States were warned about poison candy. The warnings spread widely during the late 20th century, repeated in schools, newspapers, and evening news broadcasts. Razor blades hidden inside apples, pins pressed into chocolate bars, chemicals mixed into brightly wrapped sweets. The images were vivid, terrifying. Authorities dismissed the fears. They called them mass hysteria, an urban myth driven by seasonal panic. For years, officials claimed there was no evidence of strangers tampering with Halloween candy. Then forensic investigations revealed something far more unsettling. There were real cases. Children had been poisoned. Candy had been altered deliberately. But the danger did not come from strangers in the dark. It came from inside the home. In the several confirmed cases, the contamination was traced back to family members, parents, guardians, people the children trusted. The truth was difficult to accept, so the legend changed. The story of the dangerous stranger endured because it was easier to believe, because the truth was far worse. One morning, residents of a small town in the American Midwest woke up feeling unwell. This occurred in the middle of the 20th century, during an era defined by secrecy and Cold War experimentation. The symptoms appeared suddenly: hallucinations, severe disorientation. People struggled to stand. Others reported blurred vision and confusion. Within hours, local hospitals were overwhelmed. Patients arrived from different neighborhoods describing the same symptoms, despite having no contact with one another. Officials acted quickly to calm the public. They blamed food poisoning, a contaminated shipment. It was a simple explanation. Too simple. The illness had appeared almost simultaneously across the town, affecting households with no shared meals or water supply. Questions were raised. They went unanswered. Years later, classified documents were quietly released. They revealed chemical exposure tests conducted in the area, airborne substances released without warning, without public knowledge, without consent. The town had been used as a test environment. What many dismissed as an urban legend was never a rumor at all. It was a forgotten experiment. For generations, locals living near a remote lake in the northern United States warned visitors never to swim there. The warnings were passed down quietly, shared between families, repeated to newcomers who didn't understand why the water was avoided. People said swimmers vanished beneath the surface. No splashing, no cries for help, no bodies recovered. To outsiders, the stories sounded like superstition. Another rural myth meant to scare children away from deep water. Scientists dismissed the warnings. They blamed cold temperatures, panic, inexperienced swimmers. But decades later, new technology offered a clearer view. Satellite imagery and underwater surveys revealed what the locals had feared all along. Beneath the calm surface of the lake were massive sinkholes, unstable ground that could collapse without warning. Hidden currents moved unpredictably through the submerged terrain, strong enough to pull a person downward in seconds. Those who disappeared weren't taken by something supernatural. They were dragged under by forces no one could see. The legend endured because the danger was invisible, and by the time it could finally be explained, it had already claimed too many lives. The final story was never meant to be shared. It didn't spread online. It appeared only in internal reports, filed away, ignored. Witnesses were instructed not to speak. Even today, officials refuse to comment. Some urban legends aren't created by the public. They are created to prevent questions from being asked. Urban legends aren't always born from imagination. Sometimes they exist to hide the truth, to simplify it, to make it easier to ignore. Some stories fade away, others refuse to be forgotten.